Everybody see the Trello board that I put the link up for?
Yes.
Okay. So on that Trello board, you'll see where it says leads, beginning, ending, play stack, cards used for parts, and parts. Okay, so what parts is like a part of a movie. So like if you're watching Star Wars, the part of the movie where Han and Luke are on the Death Star, that's a part. So it's like a good chunk of the film, 10 to 20 minutes of the film. Now under those parts, we will place moments. Now moments are like specific things that happen in the movie. There's a shootout in the cell block. The heroes go down the trash chute into the compactor and have to deal with a monster. Escaping the Death Star. Those are all moments within that one part. So when it is your turn, you will create either a part or a moment. And we'll get to that in a second. But first, we're gonna kind of set up how this movie looks as we start. So I'm gonna get a piece of paper here. Let me pull up this PDF. And we're going to talk about how this movie was recommended to us, we amateur movie critics. Robbie, give me the name of a movie that you think we all can just kind of culturally reference. We don't have to have all seen it, but, something we could probably reference.
So you mean the name of an actually existing movie?
An actual existing movie, yes.
And one that everybody would know?
Yeah, at least we would understand what it's referencing, the reference to, so.
And it could be any genre, then.
Any genre. Or it could be a play.
Let's go Romeo and Juliet. Would that work?
Sure, absolutely. Romeo and Juliet. Carlo.
Hey.
Give me a genre of music.
Are you guys feeling creative today?
Either way.
You want to explore? Because it's up to me. I bet I think I know where this is going, but genre of music. I want to say rap. But I'm not sure how that will play out with the Romeo and Juliet theme. What else are there? Rock, rap, classical, folksy, western. Western. I like a western song.
Okay, so country western?
Yeah, country western.
Got it. All right, James. Give me a popular person that is not a filmmaker.
Popular person that is not a filmmaker.
Mm-hmm.
Buzz Aldrin.
Buzz Aldrin.
Everybody's familiar with that reference?
Yep.
America's #2 astronaut? Okay.
Got it. Okay, so I will come up with an imaginary foreign art movement. So by art movement, that could be like something like Art Deco or postmodernism or expressionism. But I just got to make one up. Our art movement's called New Splatoon. Don't ask me what it is, it doesn't matter. So give me 1 second, and I'm going to type this into Trello. You guys probably figured it out while I was doing it, but what this is basically like a Mad Lib. I gotta ask, do y'all see me typing in real time on Trello, or do you have to wait until I actually save the card? Because I'm typing right now.
Yeah, I don't see it.
Nope.
Okay. Can you see it now where it says how this was recommended on Trello?
Yep.
Okay. So I'll read it out loud. It's like Romeo and Juliet with country western music, but made by Buzz Aldrin, as seen through the lens of New Splatoon. That's how the movie was recommended to us. And then, after that, and don't try to figure out what that means, because it really doesn't mean anything, does it? So what we're going to do here is, this part's actually kind of funny. Each of us will go around and do a facial expression, just a real quick facial expression on each act of the movie. So I'll start first, and then when I call on you, do what your reaction was to the first act. So my reaction to the first act will be... Robbie? Carlo? And James. Oh. Good, good, good. Okay, now you have to switch your facial expression. You can't use the same one. And now we're in the meat and potatoes of the movie, the second act. We're going to do our facial expressions. So here's mine. Robbie? Nice. Carlo? And James. James, your facial expression was similar to mine. Perhaps we saw the same things. All right, and now for the last act, the climax and the ending. What was our facial expressions? Here's mine. Robbie? Carlo? And James. We all had very, very dissimilar facial expressions on that. Awesome. So now we will talk about what is the beginning of the movie. What was the first part of the movie? This isn't consensus, so just throw out whatever comes to your brain. What was the first 20 minutes of the movie about? Anybody could throw it out there.
Shootout. Old Western shootout.
There it is. Old Western shootout. Okay, I'm going to add that to the trailer board. Okay, so under beginning, you should see Old Western shootout. And now, what happened at the end of the movie? What was the last 20 minutes of the movie about? Now, James, since you picked the beginning, you cannot pick the ending.
A scene at the coffee shop in modern day.
Okay. Is it a quiet scene or like a raucous scene?
I'm thinking the character is calmly ordering something, but the place around him or her is in chaos or something like that.
Okay. A quiet moment in a chaotic coffee shop.
Yeah.
Got it. Alright, so anything we create needs to be between these 2 points. So you could put stuff in the beginning. If you put moments in the beginning, make sure they go under the Western shootout. And if you put moments in the ending, make sure they go before or on top of where it says a quiet moment in a chaotic coffee shop. So next, we have our beginning and end. Okay, does anybody have any objections to the beginning and end? No? Awesome.
No.
Okay. I need to read this. I forgot. I should have read this earlier, but there's actually like a text you should read before you start the game. Okay, so I'm going to read this aloud. This is not a game about producing a film. This is a game in which you reminisce together about a pretend movie you just pretend watched, putting the pieces in place. There is no winner. You don't need to know anything about movies, but it could be helpful to have seen one. You don't have to be funny or smart to play. The pieces will organically come together and funniness will happen automatically. If you are not sure what to make up, just say the thing that is most obvious to you. Stories are strengthened by obvious connections, and since we can each have different brains and different experiences, that thing that's obvious to you might seem totally clever to somebody else. Now, if anything comes up in the story that makes you wish you weren't here, you have to promise to tell us so that we can take it out again and restore your good time. And of course, we all have to promise that we're here for the communal good time and won't do anything mean. Promise. I like that little safety measure they put at the end of that. It was pretty good. All right, so yeah, we jump right into play.
All right.
Does anybody want to volunteer to go first? I can go first if you would like. Okay, so I'm gonna set an order here so that we know. I'll type it in the chat. Okay. So we'll go in that order. That's counterclockwise on my screen. So if you notice in the play stack, there's a bunch of different colored cards. We will play those in order from top to bottom. Once we go around and use up all the cards, the first it wouldn't be the first person since we have 4 players, but the very next player will pick a new card. Now, what each color represents is a different character in the movie. and you can repeat characters. So for blue, all the scenes, all the parts or moments we create will be about that first character. Same thing with green, and you can use the same character. If you just want one character in the whole movie, we could do that. So since I'm going first, I get to choose the first lead. And for lead, what you want is like a name or something they're recognized by. Like it could be John or Sarah, or it could be the guy in the yellow coat, something like that. And then you want to give like a short description. So I'm going to create Matilda. Let's see. Starts with an old Western shootout and ends at a quiet moment in a chaotic coffee shop. So Matilda is a coffee connoisseur. I don't know how to spell connoisseur. I'm just going to put coffee snob. She is always dressed to impress, but is easily angered. So there we go. That's all you want for like a character, just a general type thing. So Matilda, coffee snob, she is always dressed to impress, but is easily angered. So when it's your turn, you can either play a moment or a part. Now I'm going to go ahead and play a part here. So what I'll do is I'll take this blue card and move it over to the column that says cards used for parts on the Trello board. Did everybody see me move that over?
Yep.
Okay, so let me create this part. What is this part about? It's like Romeo and Juliet, right? Okay, so this is yeah, this part was a very tense wedding. And then after you create your part or moment, you say whether you like that part or you didn't like that part. I'm going to say I didn't like that part.
Okay.
And then we're going to go around the table and everybody gets to say whether they enjoyed that part or didn't enjoy that part for whatever reason. So, Robbie, did you enjoy the very tense wedding?
Yeah, I think I really got into it. Yep.
Awesome. What about you, Carlo? Did you like that part?
I'd say no.
You didn't? Okay. James, did you like that part?
Yeah, I thought it was interesting, how it sort of connected sort of visually to the shootout. How they
Okay.
sort of made all these metaphors between the two. It was pretty cool.
Oh, awesome. I love it. Sweet. So, my turn is done, and now it passes to Robbie.
Okay, and a question about the lead of Matilda. I mean, you created that, and how do the leads come into play then?
Well, every time we use a blue card, it's about Matilda. So
Okay,
that.
so
Go ahead, Robbie.
the tense wedding would be about Matilda.
Yeah. I mean, we haven't established whether she was the one getting married or just there, or all that flows as the game goes. So.
Okay, so at this point, am I supposed to create another lead?
No. We will continue to talk about Matilda until we run out of the blue cards.
Okay. And so I'm going to create either a part or a moment that would somehow involve Matilda.
Yes.
Can we also help out, or is it just Robbie who should?
Yeah, it's just Robbie. Very much like that. Very much like Microscope. It's non-collaborative. That way, everybody has their part in it.
Gotcha.
This part is a art studio session between an artist and a model that starts to get steamy.
Okay. You can go ahead and say if you want Matilda to be the model or the artist.
Why don't we say that she's the artist?
And does that come before or after the wedding? That might be a little bit important.
Yeah, let's put it after the wedding.
Okay. Awesome. Did you like this part or you didn't like this part?
I think I was confused by the part. I kind of didn't like it, I guess, just because I was confused by it.
What about you, Carlo?
I'm gonna say I kind of liked it, looking at it, watching it, the watching the emotions that they've shown on screen.
James, what'd you think of it?
I was into it at first, and then it got kind of gross.
Yeah, I thought it was. I liked it because it was like really touching, but like when they started putting in the new Splatoon stuff, I was just like, it like blew my mind.
Fair
So,
enough. Fair enough.
all right, Carlo, you get to add a moment or a part.
When we say moment, it's a scene under the part.
Yeah, it's like a story beat within that part, or like a moment of action, something specific within that part.
All right. I'm thinking I would want to add the moment under a very tense way.
Okay, so you could
And
you could
Go
drag
ahead.
one of those cards over to it, and after you drag it, it should pull up a little pencil which you could click on to edit.
so the cards used for parts, I'm going to drag the blue one
Uh,
onto the very tense
Yeah,
setting.
not from the cards used for parts, from the play stack.
Gotcha. All right, like that.
Yep, and then when you hover it over it, you should see a pencil or a pen. If you click on that, it'll let you type it in.
All right.
But you could go ahead and tell us what it is before you type it.
Okay. So I want a moment where I don't know why, but a car suddenly drove through the gates of the church, and no one can tell who's riding it, but it just out of the blue when they were all saying their vows, the car just went right through the door, and no one was hurt though. Everyone was in the front part of the church, but it definitely did damage to the pews at the back of the church, and it was so loud, and people were like, were all surprised because you know how churches are, right? Like there are echoes all around, and you can hear a crashing sound. Like it's so loud. So yes, that's the moment I want.
Awesome. Yeah, go ahead and type that in on that card. You just want to like condense it
Alright.
down to one sentence. Car crashes into church, or however you want. Just you don't want to write like a whole paragraph on it, because I don't know how that'll look on these cards. There we go.
Sure, no problem.
Did you like the scene or not like it?
I liked it. It's my idea.
James, what'd you think about that?
Yeah, I was into that. I like that part.
Yeah, I did too. It was very like unexpected and action oriented in a part you weren't expecting it. What about you, Robbie?
Yeah, I think we'll be unanimous on this one. I mean, that sounds like something I would appreciate. Yeah.
Awesome. Sweet. James, it is now your turn. You can add a moment or a part.
All right. So one moment that I really liked in the old Western shootout was when, it's chaos and bullets flying everywhere, and Matilda's, she's got the sack of loot from the bank, and the marshals are all out there, and she just like kisses one of her bullets and loads it in the gun, spins the chamber, and then like time slows down, and all these like bodies are sort of like coalescing, and she fires, and it like goes through all of them. Like, one after the next, everybody's dying from this one bullet, and at the end of the chain, this other lady just catches the bullet and kisses it back.
Oh, wow.
Really well.
So did you enjoy that part? It sounded like you enjoyed that part.
Yeah, it kind of blew my mind. I was into it.
I didn't enjoy it. It was just too fake. It just looked too fake. Robbie?
Yeah, I think I didn't really. Yeah, I agree. Yeah, that it wasn't the fact that it was just non-realistic, but it seemed too forced to me. That the director was just kind of pushing it too far, in a way that just didn't strike me as being kind of really coherent to me.
Yeah, but I mean, the director's been compared to Buzz Aldrin, so physics be damned. Carlo, what'd you think of that scene?
I was laughing my ass off.
Of course. You were laughing because it was actually comedic, or it was so ridiculous?
I was laughing because it felt ridiculous, and I kind of did not picture that, since this is the beginning of the movie, that this is the tone that the director or the producers wanted to have for the whole film. So it was kind of like, is this what I'm going to be expecting throughout the whole movie? Something like that.
Oh, what we didn't know what would come, huh? Awesome, sweet. So that ends Matilda's arc in a way, as far as what we're creating. But that doesn't mean Matilda's totally out, because you can still bring her in on your card. When you choose a lead, you can choose Matilda again. You don't have to create a new character. But as of right now, Robbie, you are in control. So, did you figure out whether you could type on Trello or not?
Well, I might be able to now. So, am I going to go to the second lead? Is that
Correct. So you'll go to the second leads, just hover over and it should give you the pencil icon.
Mm-hmm.
And then you click on that, you should be able to edit it.
Okay? And so I'm going to do that. And for the second lead, and I'm thinking about Romeo and Juliet. I'm wondering if I should do a guy named Rufus. And Rufus is going to be he's a construction worker who specializes in crane operation. Those big cranes, and he's into elaborate origami on his free time.
Awesome.
I like it.
Okay, and so now that's green, and so I can create another part or a moment.
That's correct. You could create a part or a moment.
Okay. I think, well, I'm kind of looking at because the ending takes us into the modern day. And I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a moment with that ending, the quiet moment in a chaotic coffee shop. And I'm going to have a moment within that part where this is part of the chaos of the coffee shop. And for some reason, Rufus has like a ton of his like origami creations that are there on display, but they are now in that chaos. They are kind of flying through the air in that coffee shop in the kind of background, and they almost seems to be animated, right? These kind of origami models that he's been creating are kind of flying around in the coffee shop in the background, and Rufus is looking quite upset in the background as well as his animated origami models go flying around.
Awesome. Yeah, I already moved a card over for you. That green one.
Okay.
Oh, there you go.
Okay.
You want to put it above the coffee shop, because like the quiet moment in the coffee shop is like the ending, so that's like our end cap.
Okay. So let me go. So I'm going to put this above, and I put this under the description.
Not under the description, like under where the title is. Like if it opens up the big box, you want to type it where the title is.
Oh, I see. Okay, so yeah, so Rufus is dismayed as his elaborate origami models take light.
Awesome. Do you like that scene?
Yeah, I thought it was unexpected, and I like that kind of idea that Rufus seems like this tough guy, but he has that kind of side of this artistry, and yeah, the way that those models were kind of like flying around there, yeah, kind of was an intriguing visual for me.
Awesome. Carlo, what'd you think about that?
I like it too. It was it felt magical in a way, and it kind of it kind of tied the tone of the movie for me, and it's yeah, I guess that's the words. It's magical.
James, what'd you think?
Yeah, for me, it really brought a lot of things together. I didn't understand the origami thread at all and was like, what is this movie trying to do? But then when that happened, I was like, oh, now I get it.
I didn't care for it. It just seemed so pretentious. The slow moving origami, and it's like, oh yeah, just let me throw my art in your face, and you're gonna enjoy it for this long drawn out moment. Yeah, I didn't care. I just thought it was pretentious.
But isn't that what New Splatoon is all about?
I don't know what
Yeah.
New Splatoon's all about. Do you?
And it kind of took 30 minutes. And it was like it was 30 minutes of that, just flying origami.
Yeah, and like it just didn't fit. It was like you said, it was magical, but then you had like this country western weird, weird west vibe going on, and it was just I don't know. Sweet. All right, Carlo, you get to add a part or a scene or a moment. Excuse me.
All right, I'm thinking I would want to add a part, and what I'm thinking is I want to add a part after the beginning and before the very tense.
Is it before or after the bullet kiss? Oh, you're adding a
After
part,
the-
not a moment. Got it.
Yeah, adding a part after. Well, it happens after the bullet kiss, and this part is uh, there was a director that was shooting a western shootout movie, and he was like he didn't like where it was going, so he was like. This was when the part is like a director storms out of movie studio, something like that, in quite a big fuss. And it's like, rah! Something like that.
Awesome. Yeah. So for 20 minutes, this director's freaking out. I love it. Yeah, so go ahead and add that. Are you able to add the list, Carlo?
Yep.
Okay. Did you like that part?
Wait, was that Rufus?
We can't tell yet.
Oh, okay.
Well, how did
Yeah.
it fit in with Rufus? Was Rufus there? I mean, Rufus had to have been there, right? Because his focus is on Rufus.
Oh, Rufus was there, but he was not part of the movie. He was operating a crane nearby, and yeah, he was there. He was not in the movie. He was operating a crane. I can't tell where yet, but maybe at a nearby studio. Or he can actually see what's happening, but it's nearby.
Okay.
As for if I liked it or not, it kind of did because it kind of explained what the Western shootout is, the sequence for the Western shootout is. It explained, oh, okay, so it's actually set in the modern day. It's not really set in an old Western. So I liked it.
James, what do you think?
This is where the movie kind of lost me a bit. I mean, until the end when the threads all tied together, thematically at least. I was like, where are we even going now? I thought it was the Western, now it's not. And then I sort of felt like, who knows what could happen next. So I was kind of like not into it anymore for a minute.
Yeah. I'm in the same boat there. I thought like the move from the beginning scene to there was just like so jarring. Like there was no lead into it. It was just like boom, you're there, and you're like, what the hell's going on? Robbie, what'd you
Guy in
think?
a crane.
Yeah, well, I was so turned off by that bullet kiss scene that just wasn't doing it for me. So that when we moved to that director storming out of the movie studio, I was with the director. I was like, yeah, right. That's the way to go. That Western shootout just took a wrong turn. So I was behind the director. So I actually liked kind of watching the director storm out, because I was like, okay, what the movie where it was going with that bullet kiss thing, that was going in the wrong direction for me. So I had like great hopes that with this new direction, there was going to be something kind of more acceptable to me in terms of that direction.
Awesome. James, you are up. You get to create a moment or a part.
So this is maybe you guys can help explain this part to me, but remember, like, it was, I don't know if it was a dream or if it was the actual rehearsal dinner or what was supposed to be happening, but like Rufus is at his rehearsal dinner for the wedding, and he's like marrying, like his bride to be is like made out of origami, and she's kind of like starting to unfold like at the dinner, and then he kind of turns and looks away. And just this is what I was talking about, like the visual metaphor for the shootout. It was like all these different waiters and people, these wine glasses lined up, just like the bodies of the people, and the camera zooms through them. And at the other end is Matilda, like sitting at the other end of the restaurant.
Ooh, interesting.
Awesome. Yeah, go ahead and put that in. Was that a part or that was a moment during the tinsel wedding?
Yeah.
So it was before the car crashed into the church.
Yeah, it was like the rehearsal dinner.
Gotcha.
Maybe it was a dream sequence. I don't know.
Okay.
So it's like it is a parallel scene with the shootout, right?
It was,
So-
yeah, they were like visual metaphors for each other or something. I'm not really sure, but it had the same.
I get it.
and everything. Yeah.
I get it.
Did you like that, James?
I mean, yeah, I liked it. I liked the bullet kiss, so it reminded me of that. But at the same time, I was also kind of like, what does this movie even mean anymore? I don't know what it is.
Yeah, as for myself, I liked it more than because I didn't like the bullet kiss. But like I like this scene because the bullet kiss just looks so fake. But this was like really nicely done. Nice tracking shot through the glasses. It was great. Robbie, what'd you think about it?
Yeah, I mean, I liked it. I thought that the visuals here got really kind of interesting to me. This is where I saw, that tie-in to the new Splatoon movement was really starting to kick in for me, and so that was starting to kind of tie some of this together for me, and I thought, the movie was definitely getting itself back on track here.
Carlo, what'd you think?
I like it too, because I was able to see the parallel scenes and how, if you watched again, right? So if you watch the movie for the first time, you kind of get the feeling, it kind of feels like it's the same as the Western shootout. So you watch it again, and then you could watch them side by side, and you can see that as a metaphor, the scenes are shot the same as the Western shootout, and it blew my mind.
Awesome. Sweet. So now I get to add a part or a moment. I think I'm gonna add a moment. Yeah, this art studio session between Matilda and a model that gets steamy. Yeah, there's that one scene, in the art studio where, things are starting to get steamy between Matilda and this model, but yet Rufus is like working on a crane, like on a building, just like right across the street, and is like looking right into that window. And it's almost that same shot, like the tracking shot between where he's working on the crane on the building across the street, straight through the window. But like, as the camera goes through the window, it's like they show Rufus standing in the room while this is happening. And like Matilda and the model look shocked that he's there. And like, I didn't like this scene because I didn't get it. It's like, did he just freaking teleport from
Mhm.
a building into there? I mean, obviously they saw him there, so he's not like a ghost or anything. I don't know. It blew my mind. Robbie, what'd you think about that scene?
Yeah, I think I agreed with you. I think in part because I really kind of liked it when the Matilda and the model were getting all kind of steamy. And then, with the Rufus there, I mean, I was willing to go along with, kind of that it wasn't, established how exactly he got there. But I just thought that it was interrupting, this kind of steamy scene that I was kind of interested in. And I was like, okay, Rufus, what are you doing here, right? You're spoiling it for me, and you're spoiling it for Matilda, right?
Carlo.
Yeah, I didn't like it too. It was like that as well, and it actually, well, the reason why I didn't like it is because when Rufus was there, I was expecting him to be like just just there, and Matilda and the model can't really see him, but they react, and I was like, huh? How was he? How were they able to see him? It was like, so I didn't like it.
James, what'd you think about it?
It was a tense. Well, I sort of went through a transition mentally watching this scene because up to this point, I'd been like really trying to make the movie make sense, and none of the pieces were fitting. And it was kind of at that moment where I was like, "Oh, this is new Splatoon," and you just have to like swim through it, right? So that's where I started relaxing and just letting the film be what it was, and it just started working for me. So yeah, I would say I give it a thumbs up.
Awesome, awesome, sweet. Okay, so now we are on to the yellow cards. So, Carlo, it is your turn to create a character, or you can use a previous character.
Sure. I would want to create a new character. And I'm thinking there is this guy in the movie that keeps on appearing, but it doesn't really establish who he is. And most of the shots of him is not always showing his face. Maybe just the part from under the nose downwards, or maybe just his article of clothing, or just the feet, something like that. So it's a mysterious guy, because you can't really see if he is a he or a she. But from the article of clothing, you can see that it's wearing slacks and maybe kind of like a cowboy plaid shirt. So yeah, so a mysterious person.
Okay. Yeah, go ahead and type that in on the yellow card under leads.
Gotcha.
Yeah, I like the idea of the feet. It reminds me of like E.T., like you only see the keys of the person. I'm sure there was other movies that did that where you only see like the feet.
I'm trying to think. Charlie Brown.
Yeah, Charlie Brown.
All right, I'm done.
Awesome. You get to create a part or a moment with or focused on your character.
Oh, all right. Okay, I want to create a moment, and this would be after the car crash. And my thinking is, after the car crash, someone went out of the car, and it's this mysterious guy. So you can see his hand opening the door slowly from the driver's seat, and then he stands up, looks at the crowd, the crowd that were all shaken and all scared about what happened, and then finally he just walked away outside of the church. So yeah, that was the scene.
Did you like that scene or no?
It did confuse me. Although this is the time when it this is the first time that you actually saw this guy, and it's so confusing what his part is in the movie that I kind of didn't like it, but I was willing to find out. I was willing to watch more so I could find out who this guy is.
Awesome. Yeah, I just want to point out it might not be the first time this person.
Yeah, or
showed
maybe
up
I
in the movie.
forgot. Yeah, maybe
Yeah.
I forgot.
James, what did you think?
So I think I like it now, sort of after I learned what the movie kind of was trying to do, or I think I did. But at the time, it was like one element too many, and I was like, what is even happening?
I liked it. I enjoyed the car crash part, but then I thought it was like so funny that whoever crashed this car just walked away like it was nothing. Like, I do this every day. Robbie, what do you think?
Yeah, I thought there was this is where like some of the religious symbolism, we have this kind of wedding and then the church and then the mysterious man who it almost is like, in my view, is like he was being resurrected from the dead because the car crash was violent, and I thought, nobody could have survived. But there was this kind of religious symbolism that was somehow kind of entering into it, and I like the mystery of it too. Like who is this mystery man who's able to avoid death and kind of just exit and leave the church behind.
Awesome. All right, James, you get to create a part or a moment.
With mystery person, I'm sure we all have our theories about who we think mystery person really is.
Maybe.
I mean, I won't give away my theory right now.
Yeah, we could discuss that afterwards.
That's right. But I thought it was weird, like in this closing kind of act, to see that figure standing on top of Rufus's crane. And I don't know if that was supposed to be some kind of weird sexual metaphor or something, but like standing not in the box of the crane, but on top of it, and then like looking down over the city. And that's how. And then again, there's this other weird zoom shot that it zooms all the way into the coffee shop. So it just seems. That's the one like wrinkle where I'm not quite sure who this mystery person really is.
So what'd you think about
So
it?
this happened before Rufus dismayed look in the origami models.
Yeah, it was just before that. It was almost like we zoomed down in, and then you have this Rufus moment that explodes into. It was like, okay.
Oh, I get it now. That's where the teleporting came in. Okay. See, you just explained it to me. So what'd you think about that scene?
I mean, at that point, I was willing to go with anything the movie was throwing at me, and it had a good feeling to it. It just felt like it felt good.
Yeah, I kind of liked it as well. Like I said, I like the good smooth tracking shot. Like I found that interesting. It didn't have like all that CGI from the bullet kiss. So yeah, I thought it was pretty cool, even though it led to a part I didn't really care for. Robbie, what'd you think?
Yeah, I mean, that introduction of the mystery man or the mystery person, whoever it is, I mean, when that kind of kicked in, the intrigue there was really doing it for me. That was kind of my jam. I love, and I liked also the fact that, I thought that it was playing with the fact that, okay, maybe it could be, it could be anybody, right? I mean, that it could be me, right? That would be somehow, it was kind of like interpolating the audience and kind of allowing the audience like something that could even stand for them to be in the movie. So yeah, it was a kind of nice development for me.
Carlo.
I liked it because at this point in time, I was already really at the edge of my seat, and all of these ideas about who the mysterious person is just running all throughout my head, and I've been piecing all of the all of what happened before, but I said to myself, oh, maybe I could just rewatch this and just parse it later. So yeah, but I still liked it, even though.
Awesome. Awesome. Sweet. Um, yeah, I think I'm going to add another moment. I think the director storms out of the movie studio needs a moment. So, yeah, I think like at towards the end of this part, I'm not going to say it was at the very end of the part, but there you see that scene like the director's all pissed off and angry and is like yelling at people and like throwing stuff around and like walks out of the studio and out onto the lot and like he's walking to his vehicle and like as he walks away the camera like pans down to his feet and just frames his feet for a while as he walks away, but then like it shows him and he gets into his car and then all of a sudden you see like these 2 feet step up in front of the camera and the camera pans up and you see like the back of a person's legs and you see just the bottom of that plaid shirt as like this person's just staring at this director leaving the lot. And I like that scene because it was creepy as hell. Robbie, what'd you think about that scene?
It was creepy. There's no doubt about that. I mean, there was a sense of menace in the kind of mystery person. I kind of liked the director, though. I mean, I was, being that this director had kind of been the one to kind of shoot down that old Western shootout scene. I was kind of at least initially thinking, okay, that the director might be the hero of this movie, but then the mystery person appears, and it seems like, okay, this does not look good for the director. So I guess the menace was definitely there. I'm not sure that I liked it though, because I was like, okay, now the person who I thought was kind of going to pull the movie in a better direction, he may be not very long lived, that director.
Awesome. Carlo, what'd you think?
This was the point in the movie where I kind of felt really giddy about it because I'm the kind of person who likes a good mystery, and it was really wanting to find out what happens next because it did a great job of building up the scene wherein it's slowly like building up a tense moment, and then it was that last shot on that scene that was like, wow, okay, I wonder what happens next. So I kind of liked it, not so much, but yeah, it's definitely interesting.
James?
Yeah, I liked it, and the way I took it was almost like it was because of the flannel shirt. It almost felt like some part of the Western scene had like left the studio and was now following and haunting the director. So it was like the thing he didn't like was like after him in some way, which is kind of interesting.
Nice, very metaphorical. Sweet. Okay, so Robbie, we have one more card for the mysterious person.
All right, I'm going to put the mysterious person in that art studio session, and this is going to be after the Rufus teleportation thing. There's a point in that part where it's very quick, but the camera kind of does a quick pan to the canvas that Matilda has been painting. It's been kind of carefully positioned so that we can't really see what she's painting. And it really doesn't have to do anything with this model that she's been painting. But she seems to have a scene. I mean, I'm interpreting the scene as Jesus raising Lazarus from the dead, except the figure that we see coming out of the tomb of Lazarus, we see a plaid shirt in there. And so it's this kind of quick view of, it seems to be some representation of that mysterious person in this kind of religious painting that's going on.
Did you enjoy it?
I thought I thought it was too obvious, right? I mean, I thought, okay, you already had the mysterious person exiting the car when he should have been dead. That, you know, this was like, okay, taking the 2x4 and like, you know, banging the audience on their head to say, okay, get the religious symbolism here. Then I didn't really go for the kind of obvious, you know, gesture that the director of the movie was trying to make.
Carlo, what'd you think of it?
I like it. I'm sure by now you guys know that I'm a big fan of this mysterious person, and like every time that he appears in the movie, I was like, oh, okay, I'm trying to connect the things. So yeah, I enjoyed it because it. I also liked how. I mean, the religious symbolism thing that flew over my head. I was thinking about it differently, but yeah, I liked it. And now that you mentioned that, Robbie, you're like, maybe you're right. But during that time, I liked it because it was because it was there. The mysterious person is there.
James, what'd you think?
Yeah, so this is right after this in this same scene. I sort of like let go and was like, all right, new Splatoon, let's just go with it. And this is the first thing that happens, and I'm like, of course, right? So in my mind, I'm getting this education about new Splatoon, and maybe I'm wrong about the movement, but it feels like nothing's too obvious, nothing's too on the nose, nothing's too mysterious. We're just gonna throw everything at you, and it almost becomes like this meta, like watching your own experience as these weird things are happening. So I was way into it.
Yeah, I mean, like at first I didn't like this scene, but I realized like this was the scene that just totally like blew my mind, and like realized that this whole movie was just an expression of new Splatoon. Was like because like they introduced this whole Lazarus scene and the plaid shirt after this whole teleporting thing. And I'm like, yeah, this is like a movie that like when you try to answer it, you just end up with more questions, which any good art film should do, right? Awesome. So yeah, we are right at the end. This game flew by. We can actually go for as many rounds as we want. Um, do you guys want to add another round after this one? Because we moved really quick through those cards.
We still have the red ones, right?
Yeah, we had the red ones, and then essentially the game's over. So, I mean, do you guys want to do the reds and then end it there?
See how it goes, I guess.
Okay. Yeah, sure. Sweet. So, James, yeah, you get to create a character for red.
All right. Is it okay if I connect a couple dots with this character as I create her?
Sure. Why not?
If I fill in a couple blanks. All right. So the fourth lead, I'm going to say that this lady, Rosalind, is the woman who caught the bullet and kissed it in the first scene, and is also the model that Matilda is presumably painting, even though the painting comes out nothing like her.
Okay.
Does that work?
Yeah, that works.
Right,
Yeah.
so okay. Rosalind, I'll call her actress, model. Is that enough of a description?
You might want to give her like a little bit of a personality trait.
Oh, okay.
It's kind of flesh
yeah.
out.
She's sort of, she's always struck me as like really vicious. And she has these really big expressive eyebrows.
And you said she's the one that caught the bullet. Is that right?
Yeah, she was like the other, like, yeah, the bullet goes through everybody and she catches it. And of course, it's like pretty gross. Everybody's blood and guts, and she kisses it. And then she's also the model. She's got these big eyebrows that are like, whoop, whoop, whoop.
Awesome. Sweet. Yeah, James, go ahead and give us a moment or a part.
Right. So, this is the place where the movie just about lost me. Right before I was like, oh, new Splatoon, there was a scene I didn't like. I'll spoil it now. I didn't like it at all, but it was like, so Matilda's painting Rosalind, and you can tell there's all this, chemistry between them. There's really great sort of tension between the two of them, and you can tell it's heating up. And then once they start to get together, though, like Rosalind like has all these crates, and she just starts opening one crate after the next, and it looks like it's full of paint. And they just start like spreading it everywhere and spilling it everywhere, and it gets really gloopy and gloppy and gross. But maybe I'm wrong, but some of those boxes didn't. I wasn't sure if they were paint or some other kind of fluid, and that's where I thought it kind of got gross. I'm not going to fill in the blanks there, but some of that stuff looked like kind of nasty, so they were spilling around.
So I'm guessing you didn't enjoy that scene.
No, I was like, what?
Yeah, I think this might have been my moment of terror during the second act, where I was just saw this and I'm like, I can't believe they're putting this in a movie. Yeah, so like I didn't care for it either. Robbie.
I don't know. I was mixed about this. I guess I was kind of on the edge of my seat, wanting to know, okay, here comes all the paint and these other fluids, and are these elements going to get kind of incorporated more fully into the movie? And looking back on it, I didn't. I didn't see ultimately the point of it. I thought it was just a little, kind of that little moment of this part. I didn't see that the director really had a good vision for what exactly was, supposed to be happening with these boxes of paint or whatever it was.
Nice. Carlo.
I didn't like it as well. Possibly the scene in the movie where all of us could agree on, like, I would dare say that it could have been maybe something that could have been cut from the film. Like, it was confusing, and I wanted to like it because it featured my favorite character, Rosalind, and I was like, when I was watching this, I was like, I can't believe they did this. So it felt a bit more like an affront to my tastes, or to what I want to happen to that character going forward. So yeah.
Sweet. Okay, so I get to create a moment or part. I'm gonna go here to the beginning, just after Matilda's bully kiss. Yeah, you see Rosalind, and like she's all backlit, and she's beautiful. She's a model, right? And she's staring longingly at this bullet in her hand that's just covered in blood. And she looks up, and it's like she's sitting on the porch of an old house, like a Western type house, and she looks across the field and sees Matilda standing there. And Matilda standing there like in like a perfect like Western Spanish style dress, with all the frills and looking beautiful, all the colors. And Rosalind gets up and looks at Matilda and like clenches her fist and then opens it again, and then in her left hand you see her pull out a revolver. She cracks it open and puts the bullet in the revolver and closes it. And while she's looking at Matilda, she lowers the gun down, and you see the camera pan down, and you can't see who it is because like their backs kind of turned to the camera, but it's obviously a man in a plaid shirt. And then you hear the crack of the gun, and that's the end of the scene. And I liked it because I thought this was just like visually great. Like this was like just great Western photography. Just reminded me of all the spaghetti Westerns back in the day. Robbie, what'd you think?
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, I liked the I was baffled by the Western shootout, and there were aspects of that whole beginning part that I didn't like. But when Rosalind appeared and you know, the kind of shooting, and it was very evocative for me of, all the, those, early Clint Eastwood movies, but put in this kind of real art house type film. So yeah, I was kind of getting hopeful that the movie was gonna, was starting to take a better turn for me at that point.
Carlo, what'd you think?
I like it because this is the first time where Rosalind had a scene in the movie, and even though there are no dialogues in this scene, I kind of felt I kind of liked how she acted in the scene, like how evocative her showcasing of emotions is, especially when she gripped on that what do you call that, the bullet. It was like, and when it showed it, it was, I kind of like, wow, I liked it.
James, what'd you think?
Yeah, well, so I guess maybe I'm alone here, but I was totally into the whole Western angle and was like ready to, sit back and watch 3 hours of weird, gunplay photography. So I was super into this, and that hasn't changed.
Awesome. Sweet. Robbie, give us a moment or a part.
Okay, I'm gonna go for a moment, and it's gonna be in the ending. And what you see, okay, so after you get this really long, magical kind of origami models in flight section, you haven't noticed her before, but Rosalind is in the coffee house, and she, despite all the chaos, she's remaining kind of calm and is actually somebody who is serving or attempting to serve coffee amid all of this chaos. But when the camera kind of zooms in at her and you see her pouring out the coffee, you see instead that it's not really coffee, but it seems to resemble, she has a couple different pots, but it's like this paint or fluid stuff that had appeared in that art studio session, it seems. And she's kind of pouring that into people's cups, and you see them kind of drinking this stuff, whatever it is.
What'd you think about it?
I didn't, I felt like the director really didn't know what to do with the paint boxes thing, and it was like, okay, I'm going to throw this in there, and maybe people will think that it kind of ties things together in a way that makes sense. But yeah, I felt like the director here was kind of pulling at strings to try to kind of do something with that earlier scene or that earlier moment that had been in the movie.
Awesome. Carlo, what'd you think of it?
I don't know. I have mixed feelings about this. One, it's because it's relating to the paint scene that we were talking about earlier. But the other, I mean, I kind of liked it because it's kind of hinting at something wherein it kind of gives me a different look at how Rosalind has changed throughout the movie. Is she doing it because she's accepted whatever? She's accepted every bad stuff that happened to her, or is she doing it because she's really not hadn't really moved on? So there's that. It's a mix for me.
James, what'd you think?
So I loved it, and for me, it was almost reminiscent of almost like a Lars von Trier moment. In some of his films, he has these moments where he's making you feel something really sentimental and strongly, like all this like empathy for a character, and then he's almost like making fun of you for feeling that way at the same time. And there's this weird like self-aware irony that you experience. And for me, this was that. It was like a reference back to the part of the film that I thought was the grossest and most unacceptable. And here it was again, and I was in a different place of like, now going with whatever the film was throwing at me. So it almost made me laugh at myself as I was being disgusted. It was a very subtle effect, and I liked it.
Yeah, as far as I'm concerned, like the whole disgusting scene, I still can't stand it. But I think that was the point of it, was to make you feel uncomfortable, to make you feel disgusted. And what I imagine this scene was Rosalind showing her disgust, her uncomfortableness being around Matilda again. That's how I viewed it.
Oh yeah.
Mhm.
Sweet. Awesome. Carlo, we are on our last
Yep.
card. Where are you going to put it?
What?
Okay, I think I want to place a Rosalind card in the very tense wedding.
Okay.
And this is after the car crash into the church. So we know that what happened was the mysterious guy, mysterious person walked out of the car and then stayed there for a bit. And what happened next was the camera now looked now panned to the crowd, and Rosalind was there. And she, out of all the people, she was instead of being surprised, she was actually really calm. And then she started walking. The camera, I like this. I really like this. The camera pointed down at her feet again, and then switched back to the mysterious person. The feet again for the mysterious person, and then back to the Rosalind. And you could see that Rosalind started walking and started gaining up, but stopped. And what happened next is that she went back to the pew where she was back at, and she pulled Matilda out of the crowd, and then they walked together towards the outside of the church, following the mysterious person. So, and I like this because the framing of the shot. I really liked how it's used. The whole scene was just targeted onto the feet. But all throughout the movie that Matilda was wearing this kind of shoe, so you know already that it was her, as well as for Rosalind and for the mysterious person. And it's just that scene wherein it's just the shoes talking, it's just the shoes moving that really made it for me for this film. So yeah, I liked it.
James, what do you think about that scene?
Yeah, again, this was an example, I think, of the cinematographer really doing great work. If I had a subtitle for this movie, it would be like shoes and movement, because that's like all the camera was doing was like shoes and then moving around. It was so yeah, well done.
Awesome. Carlo, don't forget to type that in on that card.
I was so engrossed with the scene. I was like, I forgot about it.
That's okay, no worries. Yeah, like this scene, I don't know, it was like all the camera movement was almost dizzying in this scene, back to the mysterious man, back to Rosalind, and just after this, violent car crash and all these odd camera angles and zooming cameras through glasses of champagne or wine or whatever they were. And yeah, I think at this point in the movie, I was like actually starting to get kind of ill at the camera movements, like kind of like a motion sickness type thing. So yeah, I think this one was just culminated in that, so I didn't care for it too much. Robbie, what did you think about that scene?
Yeah, well, I was originally confused by the cinematography, but then I felt like I was starting to kind of understand the vision of the director here, and really in retrospect, this is where I thought the movie. We've seen a lot of the new Splatoon, and I feel like it was, getting kind of caught in a rut. And this was like the part of the movie where I thought, oh, okay, new Splatoon has something more to offer. And this movie is like going there and kind of opening up some some new territory for a kind of style that, you know, a lot of people thought was a dead end. But I think a lot of people would look at this scene and say, no, it may not be fully realized in this movie, but there's something kind of innovative and revolutionary about the new Splatoon going on in this particular scene. So I kind of, even though I didn't necessarily think it was fully, you know, integrated into the movie, I thought it was like striking out for some new territory for me.
Sweet. Awesome. All right. Yeah, it looks like we are out of cards and we are done with the movie. We could play another round, but I think we're at a good spot here. I think like all our stuff just kind of ties in together and it's a good spot to end it. I was really surprised how fast this game ran. It's the first time I played it, so I know I always set all my sessions to 3 to 4 hours because you never know what's going to happen.
Yeah.
But this game went really quick. I could see this game. This is a game you could just throw on the table and be ready and be done with it in a couple hours. Yeah, I like that.
Is that like end when the last card is played, game over?
Yeah, right. The game's over, but there's one more thing we got to do.
Okay.
Each of you in the chat need to type what the title of this movie is, okay? But there's certain formats. There's certain formats you have to use. Hold on, let me read them off. It could be a direct translation of the original foreign title. So you know how sometimes the translations are off a little bit. It could be the name that somebody online gave it when they first uploaded it. Like it could have been the file name of the movie when somebody uploaded it. It could be what the projectionist at a small art house cinema put up on their marquee when they got a print from the studio about it. Or it could be a cultural translation for the limited DVD release.
Those things made it more difficult.
Yeah, they do. Yeah. But you can come up with anything you want. It doesn't matter. There's no wrong answer for what the name of the movie is. Hold on, I gotta look back at the board to see what the heck we're gonna name this thing.
Now, you want us to do this in the message on the Discord?
Or we could go around and just say it. You know, we could do that too if you want. I mean, if somebody has one, go ahead and spit it out.
Let me think for a second.
Yeah, I haven't come up with one yet either. Okay, yeah, I know what my name's gonna be, and it's like doesn't make any sense. It has nothing to tell with it. It's called Coffeeshop. That's all. That's just the name. That's the simple name of the movie, Coffeeshop.
As for me, I wanted something like it's a I was honing in on the word kiss, so I was like, okay, maybe a different language. So I just picked out of random Korean, and it says Kiseu, Kiseu. And what's funny is it's not even Korean. But they use the name of Kiseu because I don't know. But yeah, so that's it. And it even has the Korean characters of the kiss word. But yeah, that's it. That's it for me.
I love it. They use a Korean word for a totally non-Korean movie.
Exactly.
That's great. James or Robbie, y'all have a name in mind?
I got Folded Cranes 1, so I'm anticipating a sequel. And then it says semicolon distance traveled, which is pretty abstract, but there was a lot of distances traveled in this film.
Awesome.
I like it.
All right, and I came up with caffeine marriage a la mode.
Great. Yeah, all these names are like what's used for this movie. Like the movie doesn't have a name. They're all used. The movie is known by all of these names. Awesome. Sweet. Yeah, I appreciate
Perfect.
Yeah, I appreciate all you playing. This was a fun experimental game. I enjoyed playing it. I was surprised when I first heard about it. I think I heard about it through the Gauntlet, if I remember. But yeah, I was surprised when I first heard about it. I'm like, oh, I love Microscope. Let me check out Kaleidoscope. Mm-hmm. And yeah, I'm actually quite pleased with the simplicity of coming up with weird scenes, and yet somehow by the end we're like tying all the meanings together. I just thought that was really cool.
Yeah.
we can chill out and have a discussion about this. I'm gonna go ahead and stop the recording though, so everybody wave bye to the internet.
Bye, internet.